Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's December 29th, 2013, and this week we're going to discuss a few ways of breaking through scale position block. You know, the question, and I guess the topic name and all, was sent in from Art. He's in Orange, Ohio, and he wrote in with this email. No matter how hard I work at it, I just can't seem to break through from one position over to another with my 7-tone scales. I can come up with some ideas using the 5-tone pentatonic scales, but that's it. Can you make a video lesson explaining a few things I could study to both better understand and practice when it comes to breaking out of what I've decided to call scale position block? From Art in Orange, Ohio, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Art. You know, there are a lot of guitar players who really never venture much past building melodies with the pentatonic scales, so the issues you're having are fairly common. But in order to branch out with the full scales from one position into another, you know, with composed or improvised lines, it's going to take some serious study. And the most important thing will be developing an excellent memory for your full 7-tone scales on the neck, and the other will be to learn several ways for ascending and descending melodic ideas along the neck horizontally rather than the more common approach of staying in a very vertical manner, you know, within a box shape. So let's zoom in on the guitar neck and start learning a few practice methods that you can apply right away to help you break through scale position block. Well, in my first example, I'll take a look at moving across the neck using the tonic note of A. And it's going to be through the A natural minor scale. And we're going to be working through one full octave off of several different A notes along the fretboard here. So we're going to start from the 3rd string 2nd fret, and we're going to move to the 6th string 5th, and then we're going to go up to the 4th string 7th, and we're going to do a pretty big jump from there, taking us all the way to the 14th fret A. And we're passing that 12th fret area, so of course, as you probably understand, you're taking one octave's point from that open set of strings into the 12th fret area and then going beyond. So let's go through this. It's a very good way to understand how things move horizontally along your guitar neck with a scale pattern if moving horizontal is a very new thing for you. So check it out. Here's how they're all going to move along. So I would suggest doing that with a whole bunch of notes. Do it with different scales, as many scales as you can, but at least with the major scale and the natural minor scale. It's going to really help you to understand how things get connected along the neck. It's an excellent exercise. All right, now that we've seen how important it is to work at connecting our full 7-tone scales in a horizontal exercise across the fingerboard, what we'll look at next is to cut things down to a shorter span of notes and organize our melody ideas within a smaller fretboard range. Now, while doing this work, I think it's important to strive for the creation of a good melody, something that you're happy with at least, and, you know, work on different rhythmic durations inside there too. Don't just stick with, you know, all 8th notes or all 16th notes or something. Try to vary them. And of course, the other side of it is to use phrasing devices. You know, don't just play everything dry. Use slides. You know, try some bends. Try some grace note ideas, vibrato concepts, hammer-on, pull-off concepts. So, you know, anyway, here's the next example. As you can tell, it's going to take a short melodic idea from the 2nd position up to the 4th position. Here's how it goes. You can see something else I did there. It's very simple. I just created a little bit of syncopation by tying notes over the count of 3 and, of course, the count of 1. So it just creates a little bit different rhythmic concept. Otherwise, this thing's pretty straightforward. It's just all 8th notes. Okay. Now let's move into sort of a two-part example next, where we're going to use some vertical melody line ideas, and we're also going to work at position shifting between a little bit larger area. We're going to go from 5th to 7th all the way up to 10th with this first part of the idea. And when you're doing this type of work, we're going to often find that the lines that we create are going to happen from arpeggio patterns. So we're going to have some real vertical work. You can see how that's moving along. That's an A minor, and then a G major from this larger G shape that would be built off 5th string, but we're going to start that off on 4th string in this case. then we're going to move up the neck a little bit here and include some 16th note concepts. We're going to have some faster notes going on with pull-offs, slides, hammer-ons, that kind of thing. It's a little bit more rapid there. It's all going to come together to sound like this. So I'm just taking an idea, moving it, chunking it up the neck into another location, and then moving it again to a new location. And we're just taking pieces of the scales that we have from, in this case, A minor, and we're just, chunking them along, sort of a vertical run of notes. And then we've got that sort of pentatonic concept that happens at the end there. Now, the main thing here that I really want to focus on is, I don't even know if you noticed it, but there's a G that we land on in the first measure. It's at the 8th fret of 2nd string. And then when the line wraps up, we land on another G. This time, it's the same G. It's a unison of this one. But this time, it's at the 3rd string, 12th fret. This is really important, and I think it's a great way to really get used to how the layout of a scale pattern is situated on the fretboard, because these are very geometrical. You're going to notice quite a few similarities between a range in one location and a range in another. So what I usually will recommend to my students is to pick a tone, a scale tone, something other than the root. In this case, I chose the G, and try to end lines on the same note but in another location. Now the flip side of this would be to, instead of using unisons, is to use octaves. Now that's what I'm going to do in the next sort of, I guess you call it almost like a melodic reversal variation on that previous guitar lick that we were just looking at. Except this time around, I'm going to reverse the process by coming from the 10th position, traveling down into the 5th position. The other lick did the opposite. And I'm going to reverse the application of the unison note from a higher G, and we're going to move into a phrase landing on a lower G. So if you can do this type of work between a couple of closely related patterns on the neck, you're going to find that over time you'll be able to link it further and further out. You'll be able to expand the horizontal layout of these scales quite a lot. So let's take a look at this melodic reversal idea and how it's working on the neck. It goes like this. So you can hear how that line, picks up into that G there at the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and then the final measure takes us into this G here at the 5th fret of the 4th string. So it's a G an octave lower than that one, on top. So that kind of work is just excellent. Work at ascending lines, work at descending lines, and then work at finding unison pitches to resolve phrases to, as well as octaves of that same note to resolve your phrases to. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it really is good for fully understanding the geometrical layout of how all these scales sit on the fretboard. All right, in my final example, I wanted to cover more range as well as expand the rhythmic duration further along. In this example, I'm starting at the 5th position. I'm going to do a line there. I'm going to head up past the 12th position and go and land on an A note up high here at the 14th fret. So I'm going to cover quite a bit of range. We're going to have some cool 16th note phrase ideas going on, including a new concept which is going to be a 16th note triplet. It's going to be a hammer-on, pull-off, and a slide, actually. That's going to occur in the 3rd measure there. So this is essentially where you'll want to get really working on phrasing. It's going to take time to build phrases like this, but if you link shorter distances, like I demonstrated earlier with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th licks, it won't take you all that long until you can cover much more ground like we're seeing here in this final lick. So here's how this idea sounds. Here it is one more time. Most guitar players learn the scales vertically. However, for some reason, when it comes to horizontal use, players seem to do much better with the pentatonic scales. But as you've seen, by taking a close look at how the larger scales can link together, first by way of the tonal center method of notes moving along the neck, and later by initially limiting your range and then slowly expanding that range outwards, It won't take very long until the larger 7-tone scales can be used to create melodies and eventually be used to improvise with. If you want to become good at using scales along the neck, you'll not only need to know your scales vertically in position, you'll need to invent many more exercises like the ones that I've covered in this video lesson. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.